So he was so he was he was there doing theater, and then we were practicing together. He was a really good friend to Natural Effects. That was my first crew with Sonic,
Okay.
that everybody knows from Red Bull BC1, you know.
Yeah, Sonic,
And
Sonic, Bboy Sonic.
he exactly, yeah. And then David, Winter, like all everybody from the crew, you know.
Okay.
And because of that, a lot of my influences came from Poe, because he was with us all the time. And Poe is the guy who, he's just born to be a teacher, like in my eyes. You know, the way he presents everything, the way he breaks everything down. You know, it's so easy and in an energy that is so pleasant. You know, like it's hard not to understand Poe. You know, it's easy to understand him. You know,
Okay.
because he makes it easy the way he presents it. You know, so because of that, I learned a lot from him. You know, when he was there in Denmark, and so a lot of my influences came from that. And then because of that, my name then changed, because Poe, he made a little fun with me. It was like, yeah, but you know, like you gotta find something that's more deep than just a Street Fight character. You know what I mean? Like we need to put some, we need to give it some, like some character, some atmosphere, some authenticity, you
Yeah.
know, in what you're doing, you know. And that's when he changed my the he didn't change. He added more
Okay.
deepness to the name. So Blanka means body language artist with natural control and agility, right? That's what the whole name Blanka means. And then later on in life, I changed it to body language alien with natural control and agility. You know what I mean? Uh, so yeah, so that's how the name became. So my whole journey into breaking has been really artistic
Mm.
more than athletic, right? And not because I have anything against the athleticism. You know, I feel that b-boys, they should practice as athletes, but they should perform or battle as artists.
Okay, that's
You know what I
cool.
mean? Where I feel it's kind of like it's not like that now. Only with few people, I feel that's my subjective opinion. You
Okay.
know, that with a few people, I feel a few people are really doing it right. You know, they staying true to who they are, and the essence, not so much the essence of the culture or the essence of hip hop, but more the essence of true expression and true storytelling of where they've been, who they are, what's their culture, how do they perceive themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As artists or performers. You know. So for me, I always see my dance as an art form and not as an athletic sport. You know. So I always been into music. You know, I love music. Like my life is like a musical. You
Okay,
know,
you do
like in
music?
my head, my life is like, huh?
You do music? Do you?
I create music sometimes, yes. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like with beat machines and guitar, bass, and like produce music for fun. You know what I mean? But I like it. You know, like I just like music, like everything that comes to music and all kinds of type of music, not only hip hop. Hip hop is my soul, my heart.
Okay.
I love hip hop. You know, it has been a fusion of creation to who I am
Okay.
and who I've become. But for me, it's much more than just hip hop. You know, I love rock music. I love certain classical movies, classical music. I love R&B music. I love African music. I love Brazilian music. I love Colombian music. You know, like I love every song, every music that has one something to say,
Okay.
a form of expression. You know, and of course the rhythm. You know, that is captivating. You know, for me. You know,
Okay.
so for me, I always base my style into that. You know what I mean? That
Okay.
music first, right? Because the whole point of this whole thing is it's dance to the music, right? That's why even b-boy, if it's break boy or beat boy, there's different history about the name b-boy. Some people say it means beat, like the beat, right? Beat boy, you know, and some other people say it's break boy from break of the record. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of terminology and ideology behind that name. You know, for me, I always adapted the one that is Beach Boy, you know, from track two. This was track two from South Tower Rock, who told me this the first time, actually in Wales, in
Okay.
England, for a jam called, for an event called the Welsh Champ.
Okay.
And he told me that for him the name always meant beat boy, you know, a boy who can dance to any beat. Because back then there was not only dancing to breaks, you
Okay.
know, like they were dancing to Motown, you
Okay.
know, they were dancing to acid rock, you know, they was dancing to so many different genres, you know, Latino music, you know, because a lot of hip hop comes also from Brooklyn, you know, like there's a lot of Brooklyn history in it, Spanish Harlem history in it, you know, so there's a lot of Latino influence in breaking, you know, and because of that, you know what I mean? For me, it's that, or not for me, for like Track Two told me, for them they would go to a Latin party and then they would Latin dance, you know, they would go to a Motown party, soul party, they would soul dance, you know, they would adapt to the environment of that music at that time they were in, you know, and that energy, that emotion, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, that really captivated me, you know, that really made me understand. Oh, so that's why I do what I do, because I
Okay.
resonate to that,
Okay.
because that's how I started too. You know, I started with that mentality that, dude, I just love music. I just want to express myself. For
Okay.
me, yeah, all the moves are cool. You know what I mean? It's nice to have good moves and dynamic and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But for
Yeah.
me, it was always like the music makes me feel a certain way,
Yeah.
and how that music makes me feel inspires me to execute what I need to execute.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, the moves in itself is just discipline. You know, it's discipline, doing your homework. You know what I mean? Going through history, understanding what is foundation. You know, understanding what is the basic and the basic element of the culture, right? Or at least of the art form. And then from there, it's truly, for me, it should be self-expression. You know, like it's your story, right? Like I don't need to see a story of somebody else. You know, we already seen the story from the people from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s, from the start 2000s. You know, like every decade we in every decade we move into a different frequency and a different vibration. You know, as humans. You know, and also consciousness of how what we know today. You know, is totally different to what we know 10, 20, 30 years ago. So of
Okay.
course we're gonna be different, you know, like a different evolution.
Okay.
So for me, it's all about storytelling. What is your story? What are
Okay.
you bringing into the game? What are
Okay.
you bringing into the culture? You know what I mean? Because, and that was my point where I was saying before, you know, the thing with a lot of dancers, they look up to somebody, right? And then and that's cool. You know, it's always nice to have people that influences you, inspires you, and that you look up to. You know what I mean?
I
But
am.
there's a big difference from you looking up to somebody. You know what I mean? To actually wanting to become that person or embody that person. And I feel that a lot of the embodiment today more
Yeah.
than
It's true.
actual inspiration. You know, people are dancing like each other. They are dressing like each other. You know, they are doing each other's moves and sometimes even each other's signature moves. You know what I mean? Where in my time that was a totally no go. You know what I mean? Because then you're not being your authentic self. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're not doing you haven't done your homework. You haven't been in the lab. You know what I mean? Trying to create and try to bring out that essence inside of you. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
expression that makes you you. That's where originality comes from. Originality comes from as soon as you take your fingerprint, you know, and as soon as you create your fingerprint, like Poe says, as soon as you create your fingerprint and you start like implementing it, you know, you start understanding that fingerprint is unique. There's nobody has that fingerprint. You're the only one in the whole planet, you know what I mean, that has that exact fingerprint. You know, your style, your origin, like your breaking, your art, not even just as a dancer, as a musician, as a painter, as anybody that has to do with something where they are expressing something, right?
Mhm.
Uh, should be unique and original. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it golden. Nobody wants to see a copy. Nobody wants to see somebody who moves exactly like somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to see somebody who makes me feel something.
That's true.
That's the part that people don't understand, right? I want to see somebody that makes me makes me get a reaction. I want to react to what you're doing. As soon as I'm sitting down and I'm like, you're not giving me a reaction, that means I'm not resonating with what you're trying to tell me or express.
That's true.
Right? And we can see that in battles today, right? We can see that in battles that people are not having that conversation anymore. You know, one guy goes in, do power and I don't know what, you know, like all kinds of dynamic, and then the other guy goes in and does style, footwork, I don't know what, you know. They're not having a conversation, you know. It's one guy performing and another guy performing. It's not a battle anymore. You know, today the scene has become performance versus performance instead of personality versus personality.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? There's only a few people who shows that personality and sticks to its originality and its authenticity. You know, there's not many that does that. You know, but I feel that we are in the verge of a change. Right? I see the new generation. I at least know some people of the new generation that even inspires me, you know what I mean? To become the better version of me and to keep adding to my story, you know, keep adding to my authenticity, keep going to the lab and giving me that fuel, you know what I mean? To you know, that moment when you see something that just inspires you and that makes you want to go and practice because you're like, wow, this shit gives me this idea and they gave me this idea, you know, like I love that, you know, and for me it's been a while, you know, like many years where I felt it was tough, you know, because of where the status of where breaking was at that particular time was not resonating with me, you know. Where I feel now, 2023, 2004, and definitely getting into 2025, 26, I can see because we're living in a generation where it's more about manifestation, consciousness, being your true self, you know, I am, you know, like all this like higher vibration, you know what I mean, of being, you know, like be yourself, you know what I mean, be your authentic self. You can create what you want, you can manifest what you want in your life. You just need discipline and passion, you know what I mean. These are the two ingredients for it: discipline and passion. You know, because when you have that, yes, because when you have that, that's it, bro. Because then you learn to get the discipline to train, to understand how you train, to understand what you need to progress, keep yourself how do you call it, consistent, keep yourself healthy, you know what I mean. But also know the history, study the basics, study the culture. That's all discipline. But that discipline is only fueled by the passion that you have, because that's what makes you wanna learn these things and speak these things out. You know what I mean? The problem becomes when it's not about passion anymore, but it becomes about achievement. You know, that becomes a problem. You know, and unfortunately, I see much more that today, that like it's a passion that is it's an achievement that is covered by this. I'm gonna be bold to say it, like fake passion. It's not so much about I really love it. You know what I mean? Like I love the culture. I love breaking. It's more kind of like, oh no, I like this and I want to achieve the best results I can with it.
Okay.
You know, so it becomes too much high performance all the time. You know, high performance workshops, high performance teaching, business mentoring, and how you should be as a walking brand more than as a walking art.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
It makes sense, bro. I understand. So we truly appreciate having you, and we are honored to have you, Blanka, on this platform. So we would like you to give out the last comments, you know, because we're out of time, and we want to hear from you. The last question is, how do you upgrade your style as a breakdancer? How do you upgrade your style? Because now you have the style, you have the passion, you understand? So how do you upgrade it, like keep going in all generations?
Yeah, So for me, like upgrading your style is something that you will do always if you perceive the dance with everything that I just said. You know, when you have the passion, you have the authenticity, you have the strength to not listen to what everybody says and wanna please everybody or wanna be the best for everyone other than yourself. You know what I mean? That's when you're gonna automatically start upgrading. You know, because for me, I see breaking as life, right? I don't break as I did in 2004 or 2010 or 2016, 14. Because why? Because breaking for me is who I am. It's an extension of me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the more I grow as a human, the more I understand, you know, myself by challenges that life brings, the more I'm gonna evolve as a human being. The more I evolve as a human being, the more my breaking and my art is gonna evolve with it.
Okay.
Right? So for me, your breaking should be evolving all the time.
Okay.
But the key element to evolve it is what I just said. It's discipline. It's studying. You know, the culture, the basics, the fundamentals. There's many information. We're living in the age of information today. It's so easy to get all this information. It's the passion, the love, the dedication. You know what I mean? To take that time to practice, right? Yeah. One thing that I feel is really important, if we got to talk about the practical stuff, is record yourself when you train. Okay. It's really important. Okay. Because when you record yourself, when you break, you start understanding. You know what I mean? And visualizing what you're actually doing. You know what I mean? So you're actually studying yourself and your movement, right? And sometimes we can have ideas in our heads that we actually put in practice, but when we put in practice, it doesn't come out exactly how we see it in our head. But when we record it and we see that and we start understanding that, oh shit, I did, like I thought this move was, I thought this move looked like this in my head. Okay. But now when I see it, it's totally different, you know? Yeah. Right? True, that's those true. Moments those moments are really important because those are the moments where your mind starts capturing and understanding in synchronicity. What are you trying to create? Okay. You know? How do you want it to look like? So studying oneself more than studying others is much more important. So recording yourself is really important because that's how you get to understand your own movement, body, and also your essence, right? We were talking about how to create your style, right? I feel that style is nothing that is created. It's something that becomes. It kind of like forms itself when in the process of you evolving towards your journey. Okay. You know what I mean? Because towards your journey, you're going to find your identification of who you are and who you want to be and what story you want to tell. So I always tell my students, what is your objective with breaking? Okay. Why do you break? Okay. Ask your question, why do I do this? And what does it give you? And what is not your achievement or your mission, but what is the objective of what you want with it? As soon as you have all the questions to that, for you, not from others, but for you, that's when you're going to start creating and modeling your own style, because then you're going to start dancing for you, telling your story. That's true. Because you got to understand, any artistic art form is going to get judged. It's going to be judged. You're going to have people who's going to criticize you. Doesn't matter. You can be the best B-boy in the universe or B-girl. There will always be people who will hate your gut just for no reason, or they will talk shit, or they will say that you whack, or they will comment on something that you don't do. You know what I mean? But these people, what they don't understand is they're only mirroring themselves. You know what I mean? It's their own, you know, lack of it's their lack of being able to do what you are doing. Okay. It's the fear of authenticity. It's the fear of them being authentic. Because if you are doing your work, if you're doing your light work, And if you're doing your discipline and your job, then you're not going to have time to be talking shit about other people. You're not going to have time to tell other people they're whack. No, what you're going to do instead, you're going to try to empower them and try to help them become good.
Okay,
so you're going to give them